You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey y'all, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. My name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram, and co-hosting with me as always is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John at Trade You at Recess. We're recording episode 47, and later on in this episode we have our first repeat special guest back on the show. His name is Scott Baldwin, aka Scottie B Cards on YouTube, who is the perfect guest for today's episode as we talk baseball cards just in time for the first week of the 2022 regular season. But before we get into that segment, off the top, I just wanted to go over the top 5 sports card sales of 2022 now that Q1 is officially done, and just remind everyone out there that the high-end market is still pretty hot. So you can actually see this full list on the Beckett website, but I'll quickly count down from number 5 to 1, and at the end, you guys can tell me if any of the purchase prices surprised you at all. Okay, so at number 5 is the LeBron James 2003-04 Exquisite Collection rookie card, numbered to 99, graded PSA 8.5, sold for $1.572 million in golden auctions on January 8. Number 4, we talked about this card in a previous show, the Kobe Bryant 1997-98 Metal Universe Precious Metal Gems, numbered to 100, and graded a BGS 8.5. That sold for a cool $2 million on PWCC in February. Number 3 and number 2 are both the same card with the same grade, actually. It's the Tom Brady 2000 Playoff Contenders Championship Ticket Autograph card, numbered to 100. And they're both graded a BGS 8.5. They sold for $2.04 million and $2.3 million on PWCC and eBay, respectively. And finally, number 1 to date in 2022 is the iconic Honus Wagner T206 Sweet Caporal card, graded PSA 1, sold for $3,136,500 at the Mile High Card Company. There you have it. Any big surprises there?
It looks like the 2003 Exquisite is pretty decent deal. You know what I mean? After just comparing
Sure.
all the cards, I don't know. Out of the ones on the list, that LeBron seems like a deal. I believe the PMG that you mentioned of Kobe, that's numbered to 10, right? Not 100.
Oh, right.
I think Beckett did have it as 100, but I think the Emerald is numbered to 10, so that's like super rare.
Wasn't it a private deal?
No, that was PWCC.
PWCC? Oh,
yeah, it was.
I thought it was private. Anyways.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think that that Upper Deck LeBron is a steal. Just looking at that
sure.
at 1.6 at that list, right?
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising. It's just a sign that, you know, the higher end stuff moves, right? And
Right.
I honestly think it's a combination of, you know, like fractional ownership. You see a lot of those companies now grabbing up the bigger cards, and, you know, even, who knows, private, you know, you pull in money and you could do fractional shares with larger cards as well. But it seems like those cards are constantly moving, constantly record sales, which is nuts. But
Right.
it just shows you that the card market is still bullish.
Right.
Yep, and that seems to be the trend, right? We're not going to talk about it today, but Logan Paul is a heavy investor in Liquid Marketplace. I think that was the news that dropped this past week, which is going to tokenize some of these physical collectibles,
Right.
and then fractional ownership is part of that as well. But you're right. John, what do you think?
You know, people who harp on vintage, hey man, Honus Wagner is the king. It's like looking at the price of the one that sold that was ripped in half, and now looking at the PSA 1.
Yeah.
Man, don't
It's crazy.
you can't make fun
John,
of vintage, man.
I think you said in a previous episode too that this could be the first 8-9 figure card, right? And
Right.
I'm believing that now.
Yeah, totally.
If we find a higher graded Honus Wagner T206.
Right.
Yep, not a surprise to me at all. At the high end market, it's recession proof. Yeah, and people are spending money on alternative assets like these rare sports cars. All right, before we go on to the next segment with Scott, I just want to quickly get your thoughts on who you're picking for the Masters, which is, at the time of this recording will be happening tomorrow. And are there any golf players other than Tiger Woods that you're looking to potentially invest in? I'm not a golfer, so you guys got to help me out here.
Honestly, I was just gonna say all eyes are on Tiger. This is this is the Tiger show. I think he deserves it. Yeah, exactly. And I hope Tiger puts on a show. I think it would be incredible if he does. But I'm looking forward to just watching it, regardless of how he does. Just seeing him out there. I know we're saying what would we invest in, but just I think it's a special time for golf. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes and the timing of the market too. Honestly, I sold a couple Tiger Woods cards this week, and the Tiger market's starting to pick up some steam as well. Yeah, it's definitely
his
up.
main rookie is up about 20% from a month ago.
Yeah,
what's his main rookie? The Upper Deck?
The Upper Deck, the 2001. Yeah.
The finger pointing.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think all our eyes are on Tiger this week.
Right.
Couple long shots that I'm going for. The Korean, the hometown, Siwoo Kim. His odds in Vegas were really good. That's why I just kind of chose him, and Corey Connors as well.
He's a player.
So those are my two.
Man.
Yeah, you never know. I did a little betting, a little gambling on the Masters just to make it a little more enjoyable. But obviously, I put money on Tiger as well. But I mean, they're long shots. But I don't know about the card market, Clark. The golf card market. I don't know if it's going to pick up steam unless, maybe new releases will pick up that spark where, we're opening up meaningful golf in 2022. I'm excited. I think it's going to really potentially spike up cards like the Rory McIlroys and other kind of GOAT type golf players. Right. I know Johnny picked up a nice PMG Rory in the off season. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of opportunity with cards like that as well. But I think it's still young. Golf is a tough one. But I think all eyes are on Tiger. By the time this, I guess this airs, we'll know how it ends up going. But yeah.
I don't think people are sleeping on golf as much as we think. Because I was looking up golf prices, and last year Upper Deck, I think there's SP Game Used, there's I think SP Artifacts. I don't know. There might be 2 releases, maybe 3 releases. I don't know. I didn't really follow, and I don't know if Upper Deck released any golf prior to that. I think 2013 might. I could be completely wrong on that. Someone can correct me. But last year's quote unquote rookie cards, which are not rookie cards, but it was like Tony Finau, Colin Morikawa is a big one, and obviously Bryson DeChambeau. I think those are great cards, but just even looking at the autographs, they're going for like 400, 500, 600 raw. People aren't really sleeping on it. And then this year's Upper Deck release, I will assume, since these guys weren't on it last year, would be like John Rahm would be on it. Cameron Smith, who seems to be sort of like a big personality, sort of crowd favorite. So I think those 2 guys would probably be, people make fun of this word, but those guys will be the chase for this year's Upper Deck golf.
Right.
Yeah. But in terms of winning, I kind of I think John Rahm is I think he's the odds-on favorite.
Yeah.
I personally I just like Rory. I like Rory in general. I think Cameron Smith has been on fire. He's got a good chance. And I actually like Xander Schauffele. He's one of those guys. He's not a big time swinger, but he can course manage, and Masters, that's kind of what it's all about, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Xander was up there on Sunday.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see who's the winner by the time we record our next episode. And I don't have much to add to this conversation because, like I said, I'm not really a golfer, although I'm slowly getting into it because of golf the potential of golf carts. But before we aired, we were just saying like Upper Deck needs to step up their game.
Chrome. Give us some Chrome. Give us some Chrome.
Yeah, right?
That's what we need. Come on. That's what we need.
Or some bagging parallels or something, because the golf products are so boring.
Yeah. So I think that's got to happen in tandem with the future stars of the game coming up. They just got to market it way better than they have been. All right, let's move on then to our next segment. And instead of our regular hobby headlines, we're going to do a special edition of Data Dive with Scott Baldwin. We're excited to have back on our show Scott Baldwin, aka Scottie B Cards on YouTube. It was a pleasure the first time we had him on the show, and the feedback we got in the comments on that podcast episode was all positive. They pretty much said the same thing, which was Scott knows what he's talking about, especially when it comes to baseball and baseball cards. And that's actually why we wanted him to join us for this specific Data Dive segment, where we will go through the top 10 list of active MLB players who have the highest career average WAR, which stands for wins above replacement. And we're just using this particular stat to help identify some of the best players who have performed at a consistently high level. And as we go through the top 10, we'll see if the players on the list are, in our opinion, underrated, overrated, or properly rated in the hobby. But before we go on, Scott, welcome back to the show.
No, thanks for having me back on, guys. I appreciate it. I must not have screwed up too bad last time. Having me back. So happy to be here.
It's a real pleasure, for sure. Okay, before I go through the list, starting at number 1, Scott, can you do us a favor and explain to all of us what WAR actually measures? And on a scale, if you know offhand, what's a bad WAR score, what's a good WAR, and what's an excellent all-star WAR score?
Yes. All right. So very first thing, WAR is wins above replacement. It's a very new age stat. It's becoming more and more mainstream. The actual components that make up WAR are a lot more complicated. And they're relatively straightforward, but for the average fan, even like me and you, who's not like a mathematician, it's pretty complicated how they calculate it. But it's basically your base running wins, your fielding wins, and your hitting wins are all combined. And they measure these wins just compared to like league average, who the average player would have been at that position, how much better you do, and how much value you add. And then they have ballpark factors that go into it to make sure, like if you're a Colorado Rockies player, you might have a very high home OPS or very high home numbers, which nerfs it a little bit. You might be playing in Dodger Stadium, which will help your WAR a little bit because it's a pitcher park. And they have a calculation that spits out a number. And WAR is an accumulating stat over time. So if Mookie Betts, for example, I'll see someone else because people get sick of me talking about Mookie Betts. Mike Trout, for example, his rookie year had 10 WAR, right? That's a really big season. The next year he had 7 WAR. So now he's at 17 WAR for his career. And the average Hall of Famer is around 55 to 75 WAR, depending on the position they play. The inner circle Hall of Famers are over 100 WAR. That's right where Albert Pujols is sitting. And then you have Barry Bonds like at 165 plus WAR. He's like the highest or second highest. So that's kind of how it works. And in regards to a player, 2 WAR is kind of above average, above average player. 0 is league average. And then you have like 4 is about an all-star level, 4 to 5. Anything above a 6 or 6 to 8 is going to be a MVP level. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that explanation.
Job,
Yeah, for sure. And as we go through each player like that, using that scale will definitely help, I'm sure, a lot of listeners, how good these players really are. All right. So first on this list, it's not surprising, I'm sure for most of us, Mike Trout, who has a career WAR of 76.1 in 11 years in the big leagues. So that works out to be an average of 6.92. And if you just heard Scott say anything above 6 is pretty much MVP level, which we all agree, I'm sure, Mike Trout is. So this looks like an easy one to start. Is he a good investment? I feel silly asking you, but you know what? Some people might say like he hasn't won a World Series. That's probably the only knock on him at this point. But yeah, what do you guys think?
My thoughts on Mike Trout. Yeah, if you want me to go first, I love Mike Trout. I collect Mike Trout. I was debating wearing a Mike Trout jersey in this video, but I have Rockies hat on, so I don't know people would mind without it. But Mike Trout's interesting. He's at 76 WAR right now, right? Heading into his age 30 season. He had about 74 heading into his age 28 season. He's just been the COVID season. He only had 1.8-ish. And then this last year only had about 2-ish WAR. And that really has kind of hurt his legacy in comparison to players like Mel Lott, Lou Gehrig, these players who are all-time greats.
Right.
So the good thing about Trout, though, is he's still well above the average player at this point in his career. And he'll probably end up around 110 to 130 if he can stay healthy. But that's a big if right now, which is his biggest knock. You know, he can't. Last year, he tore his calf jogging. Once you start having muscle issues like that, it's kind of worrisome. I think he'll be fine, and I think people are very much underrating him. Yes, he may lose his base running because he's not trying to steal bases as much. He'll still take the extra base when the ball's hit into the outfield, but he's not going to be stealing just to maintain his, his body being healthy for the full year. And yes, his defense may have declined slightly, but we've never seen a full-on God mode offense Trout, and I think that's what we could be seeing this year. So I still think there's room for Trout to go up. He also has a very interesting situation because he is by and far considered the best player of our generation. And because he's considered the best player of our generation, that helps his card values. Jeter, Griffey, there's all these like certain players that are identified in certain eras, and Trout's our guy. And because of that, everybody my age and your age, and maybe even a little bit older, are all going to want his cards as they get older. And that's when that money continues to flow. So that's my thoughts is, he's a little bit of a risk because he's not staying as healthy, and we don't know how high of a ceiling he has. But at the same time, he's already identified himself as an all-time great talent. So,
yeah.
Well said.
That was well said. Yeah, I don't know how to follow that up, but I personally think he's slightly overvalued in terms of the market on certain cards. I think there's a lot of price baked into kind of like his Hall of Fame status or his legendary status that he's creating. And there are good points that Scotty made. It's like, I don't know how old he is now. He's probably in the
30?
32, 31.
I think he's 30 right now and turns 31 in August.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Like you see guys like Albert Pujols, they're back 10 years compared to the first 10 years. And you kind of see if whether that's going to play a factor into kind of what he's building. So that does concern me with Trout in terms of his prices where they are currently, especially his Bowman Chrome autos. They're untouchable essentially, but like with any collector, they're grails, right? So for me, it's a great long-term investment, but I don't know. I think it's slightly overpriced on some of his cards. Even his Topps updates, just based on his pop count. I don't know if prices could sustain itself. It's been at that, I guess, 3K mark for a long time, and it kind of fell below that. So I'm going to say he's slightly overpriced, as crazy as that sounds. Wow. But that doesn't mean that I'm not like interested in investing in some. I would love to have a Bowman Chrome Trout one day, but for me, it's.
You want my counter argument to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so my counter argument. The first thing, as at age 30 in spring training this year, he was clocked running down the first base line at 30 feet per second, which is like 95th percentile, which that's good. That's a good sign for his aging, shows he's healthy. Another argument is when you compare him to other sports. His Bowman Chrome autographs aren't really that crazy. And, if you look at like Patrick Mahomes, if you look at LeBron, if you look at Steph Curry, their values are so high that I think anybody who's not necessarily a baseball fan may be looking at the best baseball investment for modern, and they might identify Trout as that guy because it is cheaper than these other superstars in other sports. That's my only other counter argument, which why I think his ceiling's higher than the average baseball player is just because everybody do baseball card collecting, they say buy Mike Trout rookie card, Topps update, But that's my only thing. But I do think at some point, Mookie Betts, who's also had a great career, his Bowman Chrome autograph and a BGS 95's about $2,000. No, less than that, $1,500 to $2,000. While Mike Trout's is like $20,000. That's where it's like maybe it is a little overpriced in comparison to the talent around him. But it's just like, can it stand the test of time? And if anybody can, it's probably his. As weird as that sounds,
for sure. No, I
do agree with you.
Agree, yeah. It will hold. I don't think you could go wrong. It's a blue chip stock that you're gonna have with Trout. It's just if you want to buy in that high, it might be a little, pricey, is what I'm saying. But yeah,
can I also say one more thing? I also think this year determines a lot of his value.
Right.
If he could have a big year this year, they stay up. If he has a bad year, they will drop.
I
It's
hope
just
so.
how it is.
I
think
hope
we
he has a
agree.
monster
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that in a previous episode that this year is going to be a turning point year either way. So definitely on the same page as you with that.
Totally. So
Done.
I did a lot of talking that first player. I apologize.
No worries.
That's what it's for. Man, I am a casual, so I'm here to learn baseball from Hyung and Scotty. That's the only reason why I'm here. I was into baseball when I was younger, but definitely a bit of a casual. But you know what? In preparing for this segment, I was looking up some of the top guys and the names on the list. You know, and WAR is, I don't know when the stats start coming out, but for me, it's pretty new. It's something that I'm not used to. And I've been, trying to learn it, from Hyung when he talks about it, and Scotty's from some of your videos. And looking at some of the lower guys, like still top 10 current players on the WAR list, I'm going through their baseball reference numbers and looking at their WAR. I'm like, okay, it looks pretty good. Okay, I see some good years with some good numbers. And you come to Mike Trout and you're like, whoa, like I think when in comparison to the other guys, and then you look at Mike Trout, you can really appreciate WAR. Because when we just talk about it, and I don't know much about it, it just kind of seems like, okay, yeah, I've heard Mike Trout's WAR is really good. But when you see it like pen to paper, like on the actual stat line, my goodness, his numbers are, other than the last 2 years, his numbers are absolutely incredible. So there's a reason why his cards are where they are. And Scotty, you mentioned it, and we've talked about this all the time. He's one of those characters for baseball, like for any sport. If you don't know what to collect in baseball, you go collect Mike Trout. If you don't know what to collect in Pokemon, you collect Charizard. Like he's one of those characters within the sports hobby. So with all that being said, I mean, just looking at the numbers, I think I'm gonna side with Scotty. I think it's a good bet because if he stays healthy, I think we're all bullish that he's gonna have a monster season. So why not bet on that, right? I think his cards have taken such a tumble in the last 18 months. They're not cheap. So I can't say that you can just sit here and start spending big time money. But if you ever thought about getting into Trout, this could be the time before it gets completely into the stratosphere where you can't get it anymore, right? So there's
great value Trout. There's great value Trouts out there.
Right.
Exactly. And if he wins that fourth MVP, it's game over for his card prices.
Yeah.
One thing that's so hard about Mike Trout for a lot of people, and I sometimes, because I've been collecting for a while, I was lucky to get these cards before the hobby boom, so they were cheaper. I feel bad for those that are relatively new to the hobby or they have a very limited budget when buying sports cards. And his Topps update, even in a PSA 9, is $1,000, which is kind of unheard of for baseball cards.
Right.
So it is kind of tough. And so maybe that's a whole other episode about which value cards you could target for his rookies. But if you miss the boat on Mike Trout, don't feel bad because we have some other players that are in the game right now, like Juan Soto, who I think have massive potential.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, don't feel bad. We all miss the boat. But Mike Trout, he's expensive. If you can afford it, I think there's a good bet he plays out well. Just it's high risk, high reward with his cards right now.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree. Before we go on, I'm in that same boat. Like I'm lucky enough to be able to splurge on a few $1,000 card. And maybe not the Bowman Chrome, but like the Bowman Sterling is within reach for some of us who are trying to get
card.
Yeah, some of us who are just trying to get a Mike Trout at that range. And I'm afraid that he is going to have that year that we are all kind of hoping to see. And then, I want to get one before that happens this season. So hopefully at this local card show that we go to, we'll see a good deal for a Trout card. All right, number 2, we know. Go ahead.
One more comment. I hope I practice what I preach. I have a Mike Trout Topps Finest Green Refractor number to 199 on its way to me right now in the mail. So I still am buying. So just know
super value card.
Practicing what I'm teaching.
There's so much value
Beautiful.
in those sets. Yeah. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Card.
All right. Number 2, we know where, if you've been following Scott's content, we know he's a huge fan. We're a huge fan. Number 2 is Mookie Betts. His WAR total right now is 50. He's been in the league 8 years, so that's an average of 6.25, which makes him MVP caliber. Scott, do you want to lead off? I know you don't have to say much, but Mookie is the man, right?
I need to make sure I don't go too crazy because everybody, if you watch my channel, I'm sure you get sick of it. I've had people leave comments recently like, "Hey, dude, chill out with Mookie Betts," and it's fair. It's totally fair. Even my editor, who's not really a card guy, even comments about it. But Mookie Betts, he is the second best value, I would say, for any veteran. So anybody who's not been in the league for a few years behind Mike Trout. Reason being is because you gave Miss the average of his career, but that's in taking into like partial seasons. If you look at his 162 games played average WAR, it's 8.1.
Wow.
So if he plays a full 162 games, his average WAR is 8.1. Mike Trout's like 9.6. Those two are in their own league. Like Ronald Acuna Jr., his 162 game played average is about 6.1. Juan Soto's right around that same range. So if he can stay healthy, again, health is a huge factor in all his sports cards. He has so much potential. The thing with Mookie Betts that's interesting is the fact that he does it all over the field. He may not have OPS plus. OPS is your on base and your slugging. That number's a good number's around 800. An elite number's like around 900 to 1,000. An OPS plus takes your OPS plus, compares it to league average. So 100 is league average. So if you have OPS plus of 100, it's the same as the rest of the league. Mookie's average OPS plus is about a 130. So 130 OPS plus means he's 30% better than league average. The issue is Mike Trout, I think his career is actually 134 is where he sits, which is good. Mike Trout's an OPS plus of 176. So significantly better than Mookie Betts. But Mookie Betts makes up that value on the base pass because he's still really a great base runner and he's an elite outfielder, like above and beyond every other right fielder over the last 8 years, significantly better. According to the defensive WAR, he's second behind Roberto Clemente all time as a defensive right fielder, and he'll probably pass him this year. So it's one of those things where he provides value everywhere. So he's kind of a hard guy to collect and invest in because in the moment, people saw him on the ESPN 100, like top 100 players as number 6. And they said, Mookie Betts, he had a bad year last year and he was hurt, but his bad year was still a 4.3 WAR season, 132 OPS plus, like it was still a good season. That's why I like Mookie Betts is because even in his bad years, he's still good. So back to his cards, he has hardly any rookie sets. And they're really short printed, especially his Topps Chrome update. There's only like 500 PSA 10s, only 12,000 of them made because I did the pack odds. It's only in one set, so it's easy to actually figure out. So I think he's a good buy right now, especially because his cards are cheaper. It comes back to the same argument as Trout. He has to stay healthy because if he doesn't stay healthy this year, those will drop significantly. And I have so much Mookie Betts. I was telling my wife, like this dollar amount could get cut in half just like that this year if he has a bad year. I told her that, and she's like, "You're crazy. You should sell them." But we're irrational card collectors. So that's my thoughts on Mookie Betts. Same as Trout. If he can stay healthy right now this year, his cards will boom or bust.
Love it.
Yeah.
I agree. Super undervalued. He's a buy. I think long term. Like I just see, it's that lull period that we talked about last episode where, they could do this for the next 5-10 years. Nolan Arenado, same thing. I know he's coming up as well. It's like these guys can do whatever, hit 40 home runs and hit 300 and still they might not get no hobby love, right? But I think eventually as they create their careers and you see what they do in the objective kind of like macro lens and see, wow, these guys actually made an impact on the game. And you see that kind of like with Pujols as he starts reaching his tail end of his career, people start talking about Hall of Fame, his retirement, and then his card prices start going up a bit. Ichiro same way. So I think Mookie Betts is just in that period where nobody shows any love to these guys. He's going to be the same way probably for the next 5-10 years. And then people are going to realize, holy, like Mookie did some damage in the MLB. Like this guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And based on his card prices with the era of when it's not overprinted, like how we're seeing it in 2020 plus, right? So I think it's a good marriage of supply and demand. And I think, and it's no, we say Mookie prices are cheap, but his Chrome still hovers around $1,000, I think, PSA 10, because they're so rare, right? So you have both marriages there. So I think he's a tremendous upside buy for sure. I think there's tremendous value. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Very well said.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. You gotta, if you guys don't listen to Scott or Hyung at this point, it's not going to work out for you for baseball card collecting.
Yeah.
Mookie is
For sure.
Yeah, just go get him. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nolan Arenado already, and he's number 3 on our list with the WAR of 44.3. He's played 9 years. Former Rockies, so there might be some bias from Scott here, but his average WAR is 4.92. So yeah, what do you guys think about Arenado? Like, he's been a fantasy stud for my team for so many years, and then he's kind of been a little bit forgotten for the last year and a half or so. So,
do you guys want to go first? I've gone first. Yeah,
I'll go first.
Go for it, John.
I own a Nolan Arenado Chrome rookie update. Obviously I don't know as much as these guys, but I think he's a buy. I don't know about you guys. Just looking at his numbers, silver. I think he's got a bunch of Silver Slugger awards. He's got, I don't know how many gold gloves, like straight. 11, 12,
9.
A 9.
Wow.
Okay, there you go.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. So
yeah,
I feel like he's well on his way to carving a Hall of Fame career. I don't know if his actual numbers stand up to that, and he's got some good opportunity to maybe win some championships. So, I think he's in that lull period where he's kind of like that cagey veteran that people just get no hobby love.
right.
So I think he's a buy, but he's not like one of these, you're going to see a return in the next 3 to 6 months. He is if you believe in the entirety of his career and you enjoy watching him, I think he's a great long-term hold. I'm going to say buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, for me, his prices are so cheap that it's like he's definitely not a sell at this point. I'm selling, Walmart blues, PSA 9s even for under $100, which is insane, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity in his, in his autos. His chrome autos are great cards, on-card autos that get no love. His paper gets no love. His chrome is a little more desirable just because obviously the print run is a lot shorter, but I agree. I think Arenado's a buy. I really like Arenado. I've been a huge fan of Arenado just as a baseball player. So, and he's doing it in St. Louis too. He's a fun player to watch, and exactly. I know Cards fans absolutely love him. So I'm a buy on Arenado too. John, I think you're right. I don't think he's going to be a flip type player that you're going to make tons of money on. But if you enjoy the game, if you enjoy him as a player, yeah, absolutely. Collect him, love him, and see how his card prices go.
Yeah, when I first got into the hobby, like his Bowman Chrome auto was like, it's gone a lot further down since then, and he's still performing. Like, I think the big question when he left Colorado, playing in the thin air, was how was he going to adjust to any other city, and he's been proving that he can hit just as well in St. Louis. So yeah, I think he's a tremendous buy for me as well. So yeah, Scott, you got any other words?
I have a very not different. I still think he's a great buy. Let me explain my thoughts. I recently sold my entire Nolan Arenado collection because I think over the next few years, if he has any sort of regression with St. Louis, his cards will drop. But his cards are so low right now in comparison to where they should be, could be, and probably were. I think if you buy right now, I do not think you're crazy whatsoever. But if you decided you wanted to sell, I understand completely. I will be buying his cards into the future, but I wanted to get into other younger guys like Juan Soto to prove it for me and they have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Arenado, he was amazing with the Rockies. He had some amazing peak years. In 2020, he was not good. Like, he just wasn't good. But you can't get mad at him. It's a 60-game season. He still had good defense, so you couldn't really say he was a bad player. But then he went to St. Louis, and he had about an 806 to 810 OPS, which is very low compared to his probably career average of 880 to 920-ish range. So it's a lot lower than you anticipate. If you get below 800 OPS, that's not good. But his OPS plus, which takes into consideration ballpark factors, was a 122 in St. Louis this year. His career average in Colorado was a 122. So he was the same player, and this is what you should expect. So if you expect more out of Arenado than what he did this last year in St. Louis, or significantly more, I wouldn't bank on it. But I think he is going to average around 4 to 5 WAR for the next 3 to 5 years, and that will probably put him in the Hall of Fame. The hardest part about Arenado is the metrics. So if you can't tell, I did a lot of research on Nolan.
This is amazing stuff, man.
I know.
Yeah, keep going.
We're nerding out. Love it.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Unreal.
But Nolan, if you look at Fangraphs WAR, which is more averagey for defense, like it doesn't really benefit or hurt you for defense metrics, he is about 35 WAR, extremely low for a player who's about to enter his 30s. If you look at his baseball reference WAR, he's about 44 to 45. So it's a 10 WAR swing. And so for Hall of Fame voters, Arenado does have the Gold Gloves. I think he's won 9 in a row. I'm pretty sure Ichiro is the only other player to win 9 in a row to start their career. So he could become the most all time this year. He's not going to catch Brooks Robinson. I think he has 16. I just don't think he will, especially with Brian Hayes and a couple other great third basemen in the National League. But Arenado, he had his worst rate season last year ever when it looks at his baseball savant numbers. So actual ranking and percentiles, his hard hit percentage, his barrel percentage, a lot of these other things just weren't super impressive, which concerns me a little bit from a very in-depth look. But where he's a good buy is the fact that he's already viewed by everybody, including myself, as a future Hall of Famer. And so the downside risk of his cards is really low. You're not going to lose much, but the upside value isn't as high as you would hope. So I think Kevin Garnett was a great comparison. And I love Arenado, so Rockies fans and card fans don't hate me, but that's my dive from this offseason. So I hope he bounces back. Goldschmidt, his first year in St. Louis, only had 2 WAR, and then a 6 WAR season the following year, basically. So Arenado could have that same situation, adjusting to a new park, could have a breakout year this year.
Right.
Cool. I changed my mind. It's a sell on Arenado.
No, it's not. I sold because I'm stupid, not because I think I should.
No, appreciate it. Okay.
I think he's actually, again, I hate to say it, this is a make or break year type of a thing like every other player. Right. But realistically, if he can figure out a new stadium and figure out a new division, his cards are undervalued compared to his peers. I do say that. So
okay.
By the way, for our listeners, Scotty is just staring into a cell phone camera. He does not have a laptop. He's got nothing in front of him.
Yeah, this is all
in his brain.
Straight from the dome, man.
Dude, he needs like his own metric,
amazing.
Like 10 stats per minute or something like that, because he's just
amazing.
spitting like...
Yeah, it's a perfect guest to have on today. All right, number 4. And before I go on, reason why we don't have Soto, Acuna, Tatis, those guys, we cut off the WAR to 40 and above. So those guys obviously been in the league only 2, 3, 4 years. So probably they'll get there for sure. But you'll see more of the veteran players on this top 10 list because we're making that minimum cutoff at 40 WAR. All right, number 4. Albert Pujols, 21 years in the league, which should be an award in itself for that longevity. 99.6 total WAR over those 21 years accumulated, which works out to be an average of 4.74. So I guess the longer he plays, he's kind of lowering that average. But yeah, he still certainly has I'm sure we'll all agree, he has a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. So are we investing if you can? Like, we already know his Bowman Chrome auto is an iconic card in the modern baseball space. I don't know, are there any other cards that are worth investing in?
Yes, totally. So I'll keep this guy short because it's a straightforward answer. He is worth investing in 100%. Albert Pujols has been a great player. His Bowman Chrome autograph was one of the first autographs. His and Trout's basically started this Bowman Chrome revolution. Mm-hmm. Pujols is interesting though because he only has a Bowman Chrome autograph refractor numbered to 500. He has no base, no parallels. So his Bowman Chrome autograph is significantly more scarce than the modern players. Right. But Pujols also has great cards. His PSA 10 base Topps update card, Topps traded is what it was in 2001, is like less than 300 PSA 10. So if you can get one, it's a very good investment, truly a very good investment in the future. But with Pujols, I'm just hoping he gets to 700 home runs this year with the Cardinals. I don't think he needs to do anything else whatsoever. He has value. He'll be a very good long-term asset. Could be the first unanimous Hall of Famer. 3 MVPs, won a World Series with the Cardinals. Good player. That's my take. I won't go any crazier than that. So
nice, agreed. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. Pujols it would be crazy to see his first 10 years. You know, if he kept that up, at that pace, it would have been incredible. He would have broken some records, but the fact that he's been able to still, hang in there for 21 years is crazy. And the ongoing joke is that he was like 40 when he entered the league, right? So it's like, so he might be 60 right now, but beyond the point, I agree. When you get into those earlier cards, I believe Ichiro was the same year as or was it? Yeah, 2001. Yeah, so like the Chrome traded, the Topps traded, great cards, great investments, still affordable. You're talking about a Hall of Famer here. So I'm a buy. Good long-term investment on Pujols. Yeah, I just view it as more of a long-term thing than, the typical flip, right? He's not your flip type card. So yeah, I'm saying a buy on a long-term.
Cool.
Right. I feel like I'm crazy to say this, but I feel like he's a sell. And I only say this I completely agree with the two experts here that he is a great long-term investment. But for me, just as a casual and learning about the sports card hobby, I feel he's kind of that legendary status swan song. There's a bit of that sort of hype right now where everybody's like, he's a legend. We got to go buy him. So I feel like this is a good sell period. And then you can kind of get back into him after he retires, before the Hall of Fame announcement. There's probably another time to kind of come back in. So I feel there's a bit of a spike right now with him. So for that reason, I'm feeling a bit of a sell. But, long term, I definitely agree with you guys.
I think it's a really good point. Honestly, I think there's 100% accuracy to what you just said. His cards have already appreciated like crazy in the last 5 years as people have seen the end of his career in sight. When he went to Anaheim, his stuff dropped, compared to where like his view. The hard thing is the hobby was so different back then. But when he went to Anaheim, he didn't play well. He just didn't. He wasn't the same guy. His first 10 years in the league were some of the best peak of all time. And then he regressed. His cards declined. Short term, it might be time to sell, rebuy him 3 years from now and make some money.
Yeah, not a bad move. Number 5 on the list. I think he's totally underrated, but then I could be proven wrong because it could be another Arenado thing. But it's Paul Goldschmidt with a WAR of 50.7, 11 years in the league. That gives him an average of 4.61. But I just saw his gold Bowman Chrome Auto BGS 9.510 listed for $2,000. I feel like that is a tremendous opportunity for anyone that could put $2K down for a gold refractor number to 50. I think Scott's going right now to buy it. But, no.
Yeah, he's gone.
I need to show you something.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Hyung John, am I wrong? No
Oh,
way.
That's the card.
There you
Pulls
go.
the gold.
For
I
people
bought it for
that's a BGS 9
$8.99.
mint condition.
Yeah.
Okay, gold.
So I actually agree. I think he's a great buy right now.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought up his gold Bowman Chrome autograph, number 50. A couple cool things about Goldschmidt. I recently did a video on him. I know I'm taking way too long on each individual player.
No, you're not.
All good.
But Paul Goldschmidt, guess how many rookie autographs he has in sets?
I'm gonna say that
with the rookie
Bowman
logo.
Chrome. Oh, with the rookie logo. Man, I don't know Goldschmidt.
It's got to be low with the way Scott's asking that question too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bowman Chrome rookie auto. That's it.
No.
Yeah, he has zero rookie autographs.
Wow.
Zero autographs with the rookie logo on it. He has only Bowman Chrome autographs, the first Bowman logo from his rookie year. He's one of the few players that had his rookie year and first Bowman Chrome the same time, 2011.
Right.
Probably because he wasn't as remembered and Bowman Chrome wasn't as crazy as now. But regardless, he's in hardly any sets. And he has a Bowman Platinum from 2010. It doesn't have a rookie logo and it's a prospect autograph. But other than those two, he doesn't have anything. And on top of that, we've kind of overlooked Goldie. He was in his age 33 season last year, put up 6.2 WAR, top MVP finish, and he is still a top 3 defensive first baseman. And he still is he's not slow. He's not a slow player. He's still in shape and he's doing a great job. So Goldschmidt, buy. I bought him right now, but at the same time, his stuff's going up. So I think others are realizing it. So at some point he's not a buy, but I still think right now he has some potential.
Awesome.
Yeah. I saw that video that you had on Paul Goldschmidt. So before you even said anything, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to agree with Scotty. Paul Goldschmidt, he's a buy.
Yeah, based on his prices, I think you can't go wrong. His problem is Arizona. and vanilla. He's like, he doesn't like, he gets no love, but you know, like over time you'll see what he's done. He's gonna put up an unbelievable career, and his prices are super cheap. So yeah, I agree. He's a buy long term. I'm viewing this all long term, anyways, because you're talking about veterans, anyways, right? So we're talking about players that potentially have Hall of Fame trajectory. So yeah, for me, he's a buy.
Cool.
Agreed.
All right, number 6. Moving it along. This guy might be a little bit polarizing. Manny Machado, 45.2 career WAR in 10 years within the league. That gives him an average of 4.52. Still all-star numbers, but yeah, some people hate Manny Machado, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'll start with Manny. He's 28 years old. He's been in the league for 10 years. To me, I think there's super potential with Manny Machado. I love him as a player. Defensively, I could watch his highlights all day, and I just love, you know, his swag, what he brings. I know he rubs people the wrong way, especially the true baseball guy who doesn't like the, I guess, the flair that he brings. But for me, he's an incredible talent, and he still has at least 10 years in the league, in my opinion. I think he's a buy for me. He's cheap, and I think he's a fan favorite in San Diego. So yeah, I like Manny. I'm a Manny fan.
You guys think he has Hall of Fame potential?
I do, just because he's 28 years old. You know, like you look at, he could, I don't know. I just think he's really young for what he's accomplished.
Right.
He was in the league when he was 19 years old, right? So,
right. You know, I'm gonna say, for me, Manny completely reminds me of Carmelo Anthony, like very polarizing.
Right.
You know, they're coming up. They're clearly studs, like really good players, but they're polarizing because they're kind of cocky, rubbing people the wrong way. But it's not the good cocky. It's kind of like the me basketball. They just care about themselves. They kind of got that kind of swag, and it just rubs people the wrong way. So I feel they're the same. So I'm going to say hold, because I still think he's a sleeper for a long-term hold, like a long-term purchase. Because just like Carmelo Anthony, nobody cared about Carmelo Anthony the last 5 years, right? Because people just didn't really like him. But now that he's entering his swan song and is sort of like, you know, he's wrapping up his career, he's kind of starting to become known as one of the legends of the game, maybe top 50 NBA. So I think when all is said and done for Manny, he might be on that same kind of line and same trajectory, and he might get that love at the end of his career. So he could be a good, decent sleeper buy for a long-term hold. But for now, I'm just going to say he's a hold, because his cards are so cheap. So it's not like it's a sell. Sure. I don't really think it's a quick buy right now. I think you got lots of time to buy him. So it's just a hold for me.
Sure. Fair enough.
Scotty? I love your Carmelo Anthony reference. I think that's a very good reference. So I just bought a Sapphire number to 25 rookie of Manny Machado.
Holy, nice.
Wow.
Oh, actually, I didn't buy it. I traded for it. So I traded some Lindor for it. So I traded like one asset that nobody wants for another asset nobody wants. But right now, at least Machado, I think it's on a more sure Hall of Fame path than Lindor is. 45 WAR again at age, 28. He has about 10 more years in the league, at least on his contract. If he averages 2 WAR a year for the next 10 years, he'll be guaranteed a Hall of Famer. So he'll actually have the counting stats to back it up too. So I think Machado was summed up perfectly already. If you want to buy it, his cards that are really nice aren't too cheap, but just know there is going to be some sort of ceiling in the short term. So
sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think the smack about Manny Machado, I feel like more players are coming to his defense. Like I just read an article, I think, with Hosmer saying he's one of the greatest teammates I played with. So, you know, It's kind of blown out of proportion a little bit how Manny Machado acts on and off the field. But
he was in the league before his time. Now, if you'd have been a rookie this year, it's kind of viewed as cool. Yeah, but back in 2013,
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say he's like the prototype for like the Tatis and Acuna guys, like, you know, they play with that swagger. Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, the opposite, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. All right, we'll go number 7. This is controversial. Robinson Cano, 69.6 career WAR in 16 years, and we know about the whole steroids. You know, him being suspended last year. Yeah. What are you guys doing? Staying away because of that news, or? looking
I'm
beyond
staying
that.
away.
Yeah.
If Barry Bonds can't get in with the P
Right.
attached to
Good
him,
call.
Robinson Cano, who's worth probably
no chance.
a third of his career WAR, maybe half, isn't going to make it. So I say stay away. Plus, Yankee fans don't like him, and he played for the Yankees. So if he made the Hall of Fame, he'd be wearing Yankees cap, and they don't even want it. So.
Yeah. I think we're in agreement.
Agreement.
100%.
Stay away.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8, he's a Canadian boy, so we always root for him. But Joey Votto, 64.6 career WAR in 15 years, an average of 4.31. Hyung's got some
I got some
really
crazy
hilarious stories.
Joey Votto stories that I can't tell on air. I'm sorry, but
he
was an
I would love
ex-teammate
to
of
hear.
he was an ex-teammate of mine. He's a Toronto boy. But yeah, Joey. If you could find his cards, I'm a buy just because it's Joey. He's on Instagram now too. He's going crazy. He's going crazy with social.
Blowing up on TikTok, man.
Scotty, I'll share a story. I'll share a story off the record one of these days with you about Joey. But yeah, I'm a buy on Joey just based off scarcity of his cards, and it's Joey Votto. So for me, I'm a buy, but it's biased. Yeah.
I agree. Joey Votto is one of those players. Like, okay, so I need to preface this, but I don't look into it too much. But Larry Walker, right? Joey Votto is more clear Hall of Famer than Larry Walker was at his retirement. But cards have not reacted to it in the same way they didn't react to Larry Walker. But now that Larry Walker went in the Hall of Fame, it boosted all of his cards. Same with Harold Baines, because people want to collect those to complete Hall of Fame sets. I think Joey Votto is going to be the same way. Once he gets close to the end of his career, which he basically is in the twilight now, he's going to be on people's radar because he's a Hall of Famer, and the media says he's a Hall of Famer, not just us, but like the media says that. You can kind of tell nowadays he'll make it, and he's there. 64 WAR for first baseman. Todd Helton will probably get in with 61, so I think it's a no-brainer. As an MVP, one of the best on-base guys of all time, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. So I say he's a buy because his cards are cheap.
All right.
Johnny.
Yeah. I mean, I'll agree. You know, the only thing that's worrisome about Joey Votto is, I think he's so underrated and he's being slept on, that this day and age in investing, you know, sports cards, the hobby, everyone wants to see, like, I want to see 2x, I want to see 3x, right? So when we talk about guys to invest in, we talk about how he's a good buy, I think it should come with a bit of caveat, because I don't think Joey Votto is going to be a player that multiplies your money. I think he's somebody that, like Scotty said, you collect Hall of Famers, you have sort of a reason, or you're just like a avid baseball fan. I think those are the types that should invest in Joey, because I think his value will go up really, really slow. And even at the peak of the value, let's say he retires and he's about to get Hall of Fame, I still don't think it's going to be like 5x from this point right now. So yeah, that's my only caveat, is I think some people might be listening to this thinking that, oh yeah, Joey Votto's his cards, these guys said it, his cards are going to explode, and you know, it's a good time to buy because people expect that. They want to invest in John Morant, they want to invest in Luka Doncic, they want to just go crazy, right? So I don't think he's that type of a buy, but in terms of for like avid baseball fans, long-term holds, I agree with you guys. His card is so cheap for looking at his stats. Like, this guy has had an amazing career. So I think he is a buy, but comes with a bit of, you know, like take your foot off the gas pedal a bit when you're thinking about
some of his rate stats, like home run, RBI, aren't super impressive. He doesn't have a lot of accumulative stats. So people who might be listening to this might say, well, Joey Votto isn't a Hall of Famer because he's not even going to have 400 home runs, and he's a first baseman. The only first baseman don't have 400 home runs that are on Hall of Fame, like, you know, hardly any. But it's one of those things where you can read the room with sabermetrics and the current baseball writers, and you can tell he's going to get in. But I think you're right. I think Joey Votto, he will appreciate. I can confidently say that, assuming the hobby doesn't just drop off from where it is and no one cares about cards anymore, he will. But he's not a Juan Soto in regards to value. His ceiling's not there.
Right.
So I agree. But I do think, for me, I would buy Joey Votto because I'm more of a long-term buy guy. That's just who I am. So
yeah. Right. I think he's a buy too, because he's one of those guys, I believe, that even when his career is said and done, like, he's going to still be relevant. Like, he's destined for the broadcast booth. And, you know, he's such a personality already. You know, like, if you read his tweets, it just makes me laugh. Like, every other tweet makes me laugh because of his silliness or his goofiness, right?
He had cornrows 2005.
He doesn't. The dude. He doesn't even have to go broadcasting. I think he just needs to create his own podcast. You know, like the
He could.
He's
that
doing it
100%.
now. Like,
Yeah.
Who's that
blowing
NFL
up
kicker?
right now.
You know the NFL kicker that has a pretty big podcast. Forgot his name,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's such a personality.
All right, number 9 might be on the opposite end of the spectrum. Evan Longoria, 57.4 career WAR, 14 years in the league. That's an average of 4.1. You know,
Evan
some
Longoria is a
people.
wild card.
Okay.
Totally a wild card because I thought he had a real chance, but he keeps getting hurt. He was hurt last year. Had a good year last year. Got hurt. He's hurt right now on the IL. He broke something. And because of that, I think he's kind of losing his opportunity to get in. But if you look at who he is for the game of baseball, he really was good in the late 2000s. He's one of the biggest hobby darlings, but he was never that big when the hobby was big in the 2010s.
I agree.
And because of that, for the hobby, I don't think there's a ton of value. I would love to see him make the Hall of Fame, but I think he might be like John Olerud. Look up John Olerud's stats. He also had around 57 when he retired. He's a first baseman versus third baseman, and third basemen are already underrepresented in the Hall of Fame. But I wouldn't buy him yet. I wouldn't sell him. If you have him, hold him. If you like him as a fan, buy him, but don't expect Hall of Fame yet. He has to do some stuff still.
I like the old root comp. It's good.
Yeah. No, I like Evan too, but I'm not a buy on Evan. I just think he's had some rough patches, and I just don't see like that Hall of Fame trajectory career that he was, I guess, on. And you're right, like that early 2000s or the mid 2000s type players, they get kind of lost. And they get no love, right? And he's in that kind of lull period as well. So I'm off of Longoria. I like him as a ball player, though. I was a huge fan when I watched baseball, and you know what? Like he's such a great ball player, but over the past years, the regression just concerns me.
Yeah, and there's no volatility in this card prices.
Zero.
Right now, right? So if you're looking for upside,
For good
it's
reason.
limited. Yeah.
You're sitting sideways for a while.
I don't need
All
to
right.
add to that. He's a sell.
Number 10, to round off our top 10, Josh Donaldson, who's a amazing character. We've known him for his antics and helping win lots of games for the Jays. And I think what team's he on now? He just got traded too, right?
Yankees?
To the Yankees. Oh yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Now I don't like him, but no, his career WAR is 44.4, 11 years in the league with a career WAR average of 4.04. What do you guys think of Donaldson?
Don't buy him.
Don't.
I like Josh Donaldson. He's actually a really avid card collector. So if there's
is.
any players
Oh,
in
right.
that
That's
might
right.
listen to this is him, and if he is, you had an amazing career, Josh, and I'm impressed. But it's one of those things where he traded to 3 different teams now. No, 4 different teams, because he played for somebody, maybe the Braves. And because of that, he doesn't have like the fan following that like Troy Tulowitzki kind of had. I know he went to the Jays as well, so not a great example, but Rockies love him.
Mhm.
It's just tough because there's not much upside with his cards right now. I don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame just because he doesn't have the stats again that writers are looking for. And because of that, I just think he'll be Hall of very good. You'll look back and say, man, he was pretty fun back in the 2010s. That Donaldson guy was great. He did awesome for the Blue Jays, all these different things.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, huge fan of Donaldson. I'm off his cards, but like huge fan of his personality and the way he plays the game. So I think he's polishing a nice career, multiple teams, but I'm off of him in terms of investment standpoint. Probably not going to buy Josh.
Yep. I'm with you. I would buy him for the PC, but I would not recommend him to anybody else for any other reason.
Yeah, for his PC, it's cheap, right? So you're not going to invest a lot anyways to begin with. So it's a great PC
Like
purchase.
we all love him. Jays fans, he was a darling.
Love
so.
Donaldson.
Absolutely.
MVP for you guys. He did a lot of great things.
He was awesome.
amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, Scott, before we let you go, I want to do one more honorable mention. He'll be number 11 on the list. Bryce Harper, 40.1, 10 years in the league, 4.01. So he would have been just outside the top 10. But I think, the year MVP last year, you buy
Maybe this year.
Harper?
Oh, I would totally buy Bryce Harper. He's only 28 as well. Second MVP, 2-time MVP. Dale Murphy was a 2-time MVP, but he didn't make the Hall of Fame. But Bryce Harper has so much more time to get there, and his game is already becoming more consistent. And because of that, I'm happy. His average WAR is extremely low because he has extreme peaks and extreme valleys for a superstar. But I think he's figuring it out and being like around a 4 to 6 WAR player now. and his ceiling is MVP. He could win another one. And because of that, I think there's a lot of upside for his cards. And again, people used to hate him because of their personality, but now they like him.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's true.
All right, Scott, as always, we really appreciate your insight. If anyone hasn't subscribed to his YouTube channel, you should do so now. 10K followers, so you know that he's got a lot of people believing that he knows his stuff. And you can find him at Scottie B Cards, and we'll link it in our show notes as well. Scott, thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Scotty.
Scotty.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And all the baseball fans out there, let's enjoy opening day. Good luck to the Jays.
And Rockies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. World Series champs 2022, Colorado Rockies.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll connect soon. All right, like we told Scotty just right now, it's always a pleasure to have him. He's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to baseball and baseball cards. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners will gain value in just listening to Scott. So we're hoping to have him as a regular contributor, regular guest to our podcast. And we're really appreciative of him jumping on today. Okay, let's finish off the show then with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And in honor of Scott, we just did a baseball theme. Unfortunately, he actually had a fantasy baseball draft right before his segment ended, so he couldn't join us for our Pick One. But we'll go ahead with the baseball edition of Pick One. So, Hyung, do you want to start things off?
Sure, I'll do some baseball autos, okay, in terms of grading. SGC 1010, so a dual grade. You got your regular grade and then your auto grade, versus a BGS 95 10 auto. So a gem mint, a true gem, we'll say BGS. So SGC 1010 versus a BGS 95 10 true gem. Right? Which one would you rather have? Would you rather, because they're both true gem. I think a lot of people misinterpret it because they see the 9.5s and they just assume, okay, 9.5's lower than 10, so it must be, but obviously prices will probably be very similar at this price point, right? So I personally love SGC 1010 slabs. I think they're great. They're so underrated. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'll go first. I love both too. I have like a Bo Bichette, 1010 rookie auto, SGC, and it looks amazing in those slabs. And I also have a lot of BGS 9510s. It's when I first got back into the hobby, that's the slab you get for most Bowman Chrome baseball autograph cards. So I think I might be biased because I got in around that time before SGC blew up, and I like the thickness of the BGS slab. The 9.5 to me doesn't bother me as much because it was kind of something I just accepted as the gem mint card, and I've never owned a black label or pristine 10 even. Everyone finds value in the BGS 9.5 10s too. Like that's pretty liquid for good baseball players. So for me, I'm sticking with the BGS 9.5 10, mostly because I have mostly baseball cards, and that's the slab I still go for. Even over PSA 10, believe it or not. So I'm going with BGS 9.5 10.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that answer, but if if you guys asked me this 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna pick SGC 10, but you asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have picked the BGS, and I say that because BGS as a brand, I think their brand image has taken a huge hit this last year. They're not flipping any cards, like the customer service, this and that. Nobody's submitting to them anymore. You don't even see YouTubers like blind reveal, like BGS subs. You don't see any of that anymore, right? Fair. So they've taken a monster hit, but I think their brand value is still very, very strong. And when you look at SGC cards, I've mentioned this before, there aren't that many big time cards that are in the slab. And when you look at BGS on the other hand, a lot of monster autograph cards are in BGS holders. So they still have that kind of high end feel when you think about BGS. So I was going to pick BGS, but I will say when we got our subs back and I looked at all of your guys' subs with autos that were like just coming out 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And I'm starting to looking at the photos of the slabs. I'm like, I'm so jealous. I want one of those SGC 1010s.
They're pretty sweet, man.
They are. I'm so jealous. So I now, as as I reflect on this, I'm just trying to think of on a personal level. I will admit I have converted. I like the look of the SGC 1010. I just like 10. You know me. I hate that 9.5.
Yeah.
So to see two giant 10s on one slab, I'm for it. So I'm gonna, I said my spiel about BGS. I appreciate their slabs, and I do think they're very premium. But I've converted over to the 1010 SGC.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sounds a tiebreaker.
Wow. You know what? Like, I'm a BGS head originally. I love BGS, but John hit it on the nail. They dropped the ball big time. Like I kind of forgot about BGS, and I kind of fell in love with SGC, to be honest. Just their whole process, their brand, even the slabs. It's growing on me. It's a little bit bulky for my liking still, but and I do like the fact that SGC is now, they don't grade the auto if it's not a 10 auto. Right, so you just get the graded card if it's a bad auto, right? Which makes total sense, right? And that way you don't see the 9 auto that you get from BGS or PSA. But I'm gonna go SGC as well, because I think right now resale value is pretty hot with SGC, and I see that trend continuing to move forward, because they're just starting to get into the game a lot more now and being more relevant. So I'm going to pick SGC, although, I do have my BGS dimes that I still, cherish, but I'm taking a liking to SGC slabs, and maybe it'll go back to normal. And I know I'm going to get probably a lot of heat for that from the true hobby heads, because they're like, no way, a true gem mint should, outsell a SGC 10, but
yeah. I don't know if it is anymore. I've been trying to, get some, snag some good deals and find some steals, but those SGC 1010s, man, you can't find that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's catching on. I didn't know about the auto thing, that they don't grade.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you'll just see like a 8.5 if it's like a 9 auto. So you'll just see the grade 8.5 with no auto grade.
It's better.
And then if it's a 10 auto, they'll just give you the 10 auto.
Right.
That's cool. All right, John?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a RIP 1v1. I'm sure Hyung will love this one.
Oh, I already love it.
So for $500, we're going to go 2018 Topps Chrome Update Mega Box. This is the Soto Acuna Ohtani, or 2 2019 Topps Chrome Mega Boxes, the Vladdy Tatis here, for $500. So
Not even a question for me.
1 box of Soto or 2 boxes of Tatis Vladdy?
Not even close for me. I'm going Topps Chrome Update Mega Box 2018, hands down. You got Soto, which is the big chase. And that's all you need. I would take Soto over it, because you got the secondary Acuna and Ohtani's. But Vladdy and Tatis X Factors, they're not numbered. And sorry, this is Topps Chrome Mega Box. Yeah, they're not numbered. Yeah. So with the update, you're getting numbered stuff. So for me, Topps Chrome Update, it's a way less print run, and with Juan Soto's regular chase, I'm going 2018.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not a contest either. And just looking at the players, like Soto is the guy. Out of all the 5 names that you mentioned, Soto's number 1, right? So, and I love Vladdy, obviously being a hometown Toronto boy, but Soto's number 1, and I would argue Acuna's number 2 for me too. So the box for me, like, it's a no-brainer. And Tatis would be number 3. But yeah, I think, and I didn't even know about the numbered cards.
Yeah,
so
updates are a little less print run,
yeah.
So they got numbered.
Slam dunk, 2018.
Yeah, me too. I thought I could maybe get one of you guys, but I'm in agreement. It is a pretty big. I will say it's a big risk to go $500 on a mega box. That's
mega
pretty.
Box, yeah.
That's pretty nasty. So if you want a better chance at a decent ROI, I would probably think the 2 boxes on the other hand would be a bit easier. But man, the temptation to get like a Grail Soto coming out of that box, I'm sure the odds are extremely low. But yeah, I'm with you guys. 2018
Sweet
Chrome update. Yeah, it's a sweep.
All right, we'll finish off the show with my pick 1. And these 2 guys just got the news that they will start off with their respective clubs on opening day. Bobby Witt Jr. for the KC Royals. His Bowman Chrome first auto PSA 10. It's going for $3K right now. And and I'm gonna put that one up against Julio Rodriguez for the Seattle Mariners. He's gonna start on opening day. First Bowman Chrome auto, 2.5K, so a bit cheaper than Bobby Witt, but yeah, two guys, two studs, prospects. Who are you going with? PSA 10 for both.
I do like Seattle's lineup, and I do like Julio in that. I really like Julio Rodriguez. I think he's going to be a superstar. But I do agree that Bobby Witt is a superstar, and he will be a superstar. We've said it many times. For the value, I'm going to go J-Rod just because he's cheaper. I think J-Rod's just as good as Bobby Witt Jr. He might be better. He might win Rookie of the Year. But just based on price, I think you're going to find more value in J-Rod, but you can't go wrong with either. I think they're both overpriced, to be honest. The hype is in, but these guys are, the number one, number two, or at least the top 5 prospects of MLB right now. So the rookie class is amazing. That's all I have to say. But you can't go wrong with any. But I'm gonna go J-Rod.
Is J-Rod a home run hitter? That's my only question.
He can be. I think he has upside there for sure. But in Seattle, I don't know. Right? That's the other side. But yeah, he's a guy that he can hit. He's a plus hitter.
He can hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been balling out. I'm a little confused. I was hoping to hear Hyung really confused me. I had a pick, and then
Bobby Witt's just so expensive. That's it.
I know. You know what? This has no basis on anything because I'm not deep into these prospects at all. But I've learned a little bit about Bobby Witt through Hyung, and I've learned to kind of want him. So by default, I'm going to pick Bobby Witt Jr. And, the home run hitting ability, that is always going to be tantalizing, right? That's why I asked if J-Rod's a home run hitter. Because if they're on the same level of home run ability, then I really wouldn't know who to pick. But
I think Bobby Witt's going to outslug J-Rod.
Right. And so that I think that, for me, on a 50-50 coin flip, that's going to take the cake. I know he's $500 a little bit more expensive, but man, it's clear the home run chase, that's the sexy that you want to see in baseball. So he has that extra upside above and beyond J-Rod. So I will pick Bobby Witt for that reason.
Okay. I was just looking at the stats or the projections for this year, and Bobby Witt's projected to hit anywhere from 22, 23 homers this first season. So that's pretty good for a rookie, batting around 255, 260. And Julio Rodriguez is projected to hit 18, 19 home runs this season. So a little bit less than Bobby Witt, but batting 275, 280. And I think a lot of people view J-Rod more than Bobby Witt, in my opinion, as more of a definite 5-tool player, especially with the average. And yeah, I guess it comes down to like what you're hearing in the news. Like whose hype are you hearing more than, is it J-Rod or is it Bobby Witt? Because both of them are getting plenty of hype. And I'm, at least the past week, J-Rod's getting a lot of the hype.
J-Rod is
he's in the news.
He's all over it.
Everywhere.
And you know what he does well too? Sorry to interrupt, but J-Rod promotes himself really well. Right. He has his own YouTube channel. He's hustling. He's doing all the stuff that the kind of like the business, the entrepreneur side of the mindset does. I love that. And to do that really young at his age is something to think about too.
There you go. And, like Hyung said, right now at least, the value for J-Rod is there, even $500 less than Bobby Witt for a PSA 10 first Bowman Chrome. So, yeah, I'm going to go with J-Rod. And but I do believe, same as you can't lose with either prospects. I might wait even when the season starts, maybe wait for the first slump because inevitably it happens. And if you see it drop, that might be a better time to get it. But, yeah. Usually don't get hype prospects right before the season starts. Yeah. That's when the peak is. But
you probably shouldn't buy either of these guys.
The right answer is no one right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Another fun episode. Definitely more baseball centric, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again one more time to Scottie B Cards of YouTube. Go check his channel out. And if you didn't hear, we are coming out with Friday episodes every other week. So if you missed last Friday, we launched it, but you'll hear us back first next Tuesday. See you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5 Card Guys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at Trade You at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.